When it comes to movies of our childhood, Walt Disney is right there. It's one of the most famous animation studios there is. They made the dopey cartoons we watched on Saturday mornings look like kid stuff. To this day, I still love rewatching some of the Disney movies I grew up with. So I decided it's time to give you my high 5 best Disney movies. Number 5 goes to Avatar. I mean Pocahontas. Come on, that joke was bound to happen sooner or later. Pocahontas was a great achievement. I know it's not completely historically accurate compared to the true story, but seriously, did you expect any movie of Disney's to be 100% accurate? The premise was about the English coming to the New World in search for gold, where the character of John Smith, played by Mel Gibson, met a young native woman named Pocahontas, played by Irene Bedard. It's basically a story revolving around two civilizations cornering each other, and of course, they don't get along very well. In fact, by the end, both sides are practically bloodthirsty. I love this movie's music, the colors of its animation, the cast. It all feels so natural and yet so vibrant. The cast itself was chosen almost perfectly, and Mel Gibson really was the best guy who could have played this interpretation of John Smith. But I think the thing I love the most about this movie is that it's one of the few Disney movies to have a female as a protagonist, and I'd say she's the strongest one I've seen so far. Pocahontas wasn't some bimbo supermodel like most women they slap into Disney movies. She was someone who really led the film and knew where to take it. Nothing underachieved, nothing over the top. Number 4 goes to Toy Story. I remember seeing this and its sequel in the theaters, and I'm tempted to check out the third one when it comes out. That's because Toy Story really was the breakthrough for three-dimensional animation and had a very basic story to it. Toy Story was about a bunch of toys living in the room of a kid named Andy, and every problem you could ever have with a toy is brought to life in this movie. The toy gets broken, you lose the toy, you get a new toy and an old toy gets tossed under the bed. It's like any kid's life brought to the big screen. The difference was, here we got it from the perspective of the toys. The main characters of Woody, played by Tom Hanks, and Buzz Lightyear, played by Tim Allen, end up having a rivalry over being Andy's favorite toy, and by the end, they have to work together if they're gonna get back to him. If toys could actually come to life, I guarantee you they would be like these guys. But of course, the main reason I love this movie is that it was a total revolution to animation for the future. Pixar Studios' new style of three-dimensional environments made cartoons feel much more believable, and there was hardly a Hollywood cartoon that didn't model themselves after Pixar after Toy Story or Toy Story 2. Now personally, I really don't like the whole Randy Newman music that the movie has, especially since they play it over and over and over again, but I will say that it completely fits into the overall style and it wouldn't be the same without it. For its time, Toy Story was about as close as you could get to the real world through animated eyes. It really is a fantastic cinematic achievement. Number 3 goes to Tarzan. People have called this movie the last film of the Disney Renaissance, which is the unofficial name for the decade when Walt Disney movies got incredible reviews and incredible box office earnings. I think we all know the story of Tarzan, which is hardly any different in this movie. A young baby is raised by monkeys, and in his adult years, the society he left behind meets up with him. This really was an exciting movie, where Tarzan was someone so full of energy and untamed personality. The great thing about it is, here they don't treat him like some idiot that goes, ooh, ooh, ah, 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 ah. When he talks to the gorillas, it's like he's talking in plain English. When he talks to the humans, he sounds like the Tarzan we all know. They don't treat the animals as stupid here, they treat them like real characters. And the world around them is such a detailed and lifelike digital background that it blends well with the animation Disney's known for. Number 2 goes to The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This was based on Victor Hugo's beloved novel, but the adaptation had significant changes from the source material. But this movie still took chances and ended up pretty dark. The story was about a physically misshapen orphan named Quasimodo raised in the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris by Judge Claude Frollo. He's someone who's been isolated his entire life from the rest of the world, but becomes intrigued to join it when he befriends the beautiful gypsy Esmeralda, played by Demi Moore. The first thing that I love about this film is its antagonist. The late Tony Jay did such a mesmerizing performance as the voice of Frollo that I love it to this day. This guy was such a paradox. He wanted to purify the world of sin, and yet he feels this seduction from Esmeralda. Frollo is one of those villains who has so much darkness in him, but so much humanity at the same time. In some small way, you almost feel sorry that he's like this. The movie had tremendously detailed animation when it came to the great Gothic architecture of the Notre Dame Cathedral. It also had spectacular music that left tingles down my spine the first time I saw it, and I love listening to it over and over again. But I think what I loved most about the movie was the ending. It was heartbreaking to see Quasimodo realize Esmeralda was in love with Phoebus. But I think I realized by the end that Quasimodo didn't just want one person to love him, he wanted acceptance from the world around him. And in the end, that's exactly what he got. But hey, it beats the ending from the source material. That one's not exactly Disney friendly. There's not a thing about this movie that didn't fit it to a T. The voice cast, the comedy, the lovable characters, the sense of danger, it's all this solid jigsaw puzzle that fits so well into the time period it's set in. You know, I almost put this movie at the number 1 of my list, but I realized that if I did, it would sort of be biased. I really love this movie, but it does have a lot of stuff to it that almost makes it worthy of a PG rating. Sexual promiscuity, frequent references to hell, one guy even got shot by an arrow. So I think the best Disney classic should be something that can be awe-inspiring, take chances, but still be acceptable for all ages. So number 1 goes to The Lion King. From the very moment this movie started, it was driven by a powerful song accompanied by a powerful message. Life is a circle and everything has a purpose. It could not have fit more perfectly in a movie with a Disney structure. It's about living beings running away from their responsibilities, how far some people will go for power, and how to handle loss. Now, this wasn't the first Disney movie to have a main character die, but it was the first Disney movie to show a dead body. The scene of Simba beside his father's body just left me watching the screen in silence the first time I saw it as a little kid, because I really didn't understand the concept of death when I was that young. That heartbreaking denial Simba has is just what any kid would have in that situation. It even still moves me a little to this day as an adult. Every actor, young and old, had a talented performance in this movie. According to behind the scenes information, they all had these animals modeled after their respective characters. Looking back on the movie, it feels like every single voice couldn't have been more perfect for these animated forms. The Lion King songs and backgrounds were brought to life so colorfully for the younger audience members. That scene at the end where Simba takes his place at Pride Rock was crafted incredibly well. You don't even need a single line of dialogue. But the thing I admire most about The Lion King is that it's one of the few Disney movies to have an original story. Now, it still did have inspiration from Shakespeare's Hamlet, and there is controversy that it stole elements from a Japanese anime. But it filled in the holes so well that you almost forget about it at all. It feels like such a timeless piece because there's no humans involved. This story could have happened 100 years ago, or even yesterday. You really can't get any more classic than The Lion King when it comes to Disney movies, even after they finally made their return to two-dimensional animation with The Princess and the Frog. The Lion King is powerful, natural, awe-inspiring. It's The Lion King. What else is there to say? So there you have it. There's my high 5 best Disney movies. And remember, every dollar we use to buy anything with the Disney logo on it only fuels Mickey's tyrannical rule. All hail our glorious mouse dictator! Good night, everybody.